Okay, I feel like this talk's kind of gonna have engendered a lot of confusion because there's a lot of things I noticed, and forgive me, I spoke out earlier.
That's all right.
There's a lot of things that you did in this talk, in this presentation. You kind of gish-galloped over a bunch of things, and there's a lot of logical fallacies. I don't want to address all of them. I can't. I know you've got a limited amount of time. The biggest problem I noticed is you mentioned a few times, and kind of disparagingly, this idea of an atheistic worldview, and then you attacked that. That's a great straw man because atheism is not a worldview. And I know that you've been made aware of this because you've had debates with other people to this effect. So I would...
Okay, what do you mean by worldview?
Well, that's what I would like to ask you. 'Cause atheism is just the rejection of the claim of theism, which tells you nothing about how that person thinks about social rules, who they want to vote for, whether they like cake more than they like pie. It's not a worldview. Atheism is simply saying God is not guilty of existing. It's not the same thing as saying God does not exist. Now, there are atheists who do that. They'd be called strong atheists, or what we call Gnostic atheists. But atheism is just a rejection of the claim of God existing.
Okay, let me ask you a question about this, Scott. Here's the proposition. God exists. Do you agree with that proposition? Do you disagree with that proposition? Or you don't know?
Is atheism really just a lack of belief, or is there more to the story? Frank Turek engages in a heated exchange to uncover what atheism really means and why it fails to explain the biggest question about reality. If you think atheism is just a neutral stance, you'll want to watch this and discover why belief in God stands as the most rational explanation for the universe, morality, and more. Do you agree or disagree? Share your take in the comments below and let's have a real conversation. And stick around until the end for a game-changing perspective that reframes this debate entirely. And don't forget, support our work in spreading the gospel and defending the faith by buying us a coffee, link in the description. Your support helps the cause for Christ. Above all, I pray you discover the cross in the conflict and witness the Redeemer in the rubble. Let's get into it.
I don't know.
Okay, so you're an agnostic then.
Well, agnosticism addresses knowledge, right?
So you don't know.
Theism addresses a belief claim. So I would be agnostic atheist. I do not know that God does or does not exist, but I do not believe that he does.
Okay, well, you still believe that you don't know whether God exists. So
It's a lack of belief.
no, you believe that it's true that you don't know that God exists.
And your point is?
Okay, well, my point is that atheists today are trying to say, I have a lack of belief in God. For me, that's just saying something about your psychological state. It doesn't say anything about the real world out there. It doesn't say whether or not God exists. You're simply saying, I lack a belief in God.
Sure.
Well, this water bottle lacks a belief in God. But
The water bottle doesn't have the capacity to believe.
Right, I know.
You addressed this with Cosmic Skeptic, like in 2017. When and
okay, but the audience doesn't know this, so just give me a chance.
You guys should check that out. It's pretty good.
If we define atheism as a lack of belief in God or whatever,
sure,
then we're not really saying anything, because everything that doesn't have the capacity to believe anything could be called an atheist then.
And a water bottle could also be called a vegan if you say it's something that doesn't eat animal parts. As far as that label is being applied, it's ineffective in that case. I would say atheism is related only to those things that have the capacity to believe in the first place.
We can argue over definitions all day long. When I'm debating an atheist, whether it's Christopher Hitchens, Michael Shermer, Jeffrey Lauder, whoever it is,
sure.
When we set up a debate, I say, let's debate this. What better explains reality, theism or atheism? Or if you want to call atheism materialism, whatever you want to call it.
But the point is, theism is not trying to explain reality.
Yes, we are.
No, that's not what it is doing. And I'm telling you, as an atheist, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is, you are coming to me and you're saying, hey, God explains X, Y, and Z. And I'm saying, well, how do you know that? And why do you know that? And convince me of that.
Okay, let me finish my point, Scott. Okay.
Sure.
When two people come to debate on this issue, I'm going to say, when I look at reality around me, when I look at the creation of the universe, or the fact that the universe exists, the fine-tuning, the more objective moral values, when I look at what appears to be design in life and where life came from, when I look at consciousness and free will and the laws of logic and our ability to reason, I think anybody coming onto a debate stage has to give causes for why those things exist.
No, they only have to show that your arguments aren't correct or fallacious.
No. When you frame the debate the way we frame it, what better explains reality? And reality includes all those things I just mentioned. Then I have the burden of proof to say, I think these things are best explained by theism. And the atheist has the burden of proof to say, okay, I see those things exist. Here's my explanation for why they exist.
Then I don't believe any atheist that I've ever seen debate with you has ever accepted a debate under that kind of framework. The framework is never that
Scott,
atheism is a better explanation. It's that your theism is not a sufficient explanation.
You'll have to talk to them, Scott, because they agreed every time. Christopher Hitchens.
You guys should check out the videos on YouTube.
Yes,
That's not
Michael
what happened.
Shermer.
That's
Okay, just so you know. What did you say, Scott? I was lying?
You say you were lying.
I'll be happy to, if you give me your email address, I will send you a video of all those debates, and you can watch.
I've seen plenty of them. I watched them while I was leading to see this talk.
Okay, well, those were the titles of the debates. And the reason we do that, ladies and gentlemen, is because let me put it this way, it's easy to smell a rotten egg, it's hard to lay a better one, okay? So if someone has a position over there that I think is wrong, I can throw eggs at it and I can try and diffuse and say that's a bad argument, that's a bad argument. But I then still have the burden of proof to say, well, what is my explanation for the way things are the way they are? Let me give you one last illustration, because this is an important point that Scott brought up. If I'm a detective and atheist Michael Shermer is a detective, and we come on a dead body, and I say, okay, I'm looking at all the evidence here, I think candidate X did it. And Michael Shermer says, no, candidate X did it, or didn't do it. He's not the murderer. And I say, okay, who is the murderer then? And he says, well, I just lack a belief that your guy's the murderer. Is he a good detective? No. Shooting down my suspect isn't enough. If he's a good detective, he has to give reasons as to why candidate Y is the murderer, not just to say that your guy is the wrong guy. That's all I'm saying, Scott.
Point 1. Atheism is just a lack of belief. The atheists claim atheism is not a worldview, but a mere lack of belief. In Romans 1:20, it says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." You see, rejection of God is an active position, not a passive one. And claiming lack of belief as non-committal ignores that rejecting God requires a framework to explain existence and morality. The denial of theism inherently applies an alternative explanation to reality, making atheism functionally equivalent to a worldview. Number 2. Burden of proof in debates. The atheist claims no responsibility to provide explanation or evidence, only to reject theistic argument. Well, Acts 17:24-25, we see that God, who made the world and everything in it, since he is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands. God is the source of all existence, and denying him leaves a vacuum of explanation, and that is on the atheist. Even rejecting a claim demands justification. And Frank Turek rightly points out that simply rejecting theism doesn't answer how the universe or morality exist. Without God, naturalism struggles to explain immaterial realities like logic, morality, and consciousness. Number 3, explaining reality through theism. Frank Turek lists key elements: fine-tuning, morality, consciousness, as better explained by theism. We see in Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Fine-tuning points to this intentionality. In Isaiah 33:22, "For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king, he will save us." Morality stems from God's nature, from a moral lawgiver. And theism uniquely accounts for both physical and metaphysical realities, unlike materialistic atheism, which reduces existence to mere random processes. And finally, my last point, the detective analogy. Frank Turek uses the analogy of detectives to illustrate the need for an alternative explanation, not just critique. 1 Peter 3:15 tells us, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have." Providing reasons for God's existence aligns with the call to defend faith. The cumulative case for theism, creation, morality, reason, acts like evidence in a courtroom, pointing to a designer. Merely shooting down theistic claims isn't enough. Atheists must offer positive reasons for their worldview, which they consistently fail to do. Atheism often claims neutrality, but functions as a worldview when it attempts to explain reality. Frank Turek's points reveal how belief in God is not only rational, but necessary to account for existence, morality, and purpose. And Jesus Christ's finished work on the cross transforms all arguments, revealing the ultimate truth: God is real, and his love changes everything. My friends, Jesus can turn your rejection into redemption, your doubt into discovery, your confusion into clarity, and your resistance into rest. Find the Savior in the search. Discover the Lamb beyond the logic. Witness the Redeemer in the reasoning and embrace the Shepherd in the struggle.